Hey guys, Booligan here with Booligan Shooting Sports. Today, we are taking a look at the latest printed frame to come off of my machine in my design studio. This is the CyberChungus. You may recall I did a big Chungus Glock 17L length frame. I've done a couple of frames for 17Ls just because it's probably my favorite Glock frame and barrel length. And they just look really, really terrible with a standard length frame. This one is taken directly, has direct design elements taken from Cyberpunk 2077. I've had a couple of shorts go relatively well lately with views, including my Cyberpunk inspired short barrel shotgun. A lot of people thought that that was Cyberpunk 2077 inspired. It's not. It's inspired by the genre of cyberpunk, which dates back to like 1977 and even earlier in certain works. But that got me thinking, let's actually design something from Cyberpunk 2077. Because while the game, at least at release, was not particularly good, it has improved, I'll give them that, but originally it was not so great. Some of the firearm design in there is super, super cool. So this one, I went ahead and I based the design off of the Liberty series of pistols in the game. Now, the Liberty pistols in the game are hammer fired. They're not Glock based. They're not striker fired at all. However, try to find something like a CZ, with a long slide at anywhere close to affordable rate. You can't do it. So I decided to make the best with what I have and built it off of this Glock 17L frame design. Some of the characteristic features of it are this long extended dust cover, which goes flush to the front of the slide. It has this little cutout in the front. I don't know what it's for in the game, but I replicated it here. You'll notice there are two screw holes there. That's because, in keeping with tradition with my Chungus designs, this has two channels inside for tungsten or lead weights. In this case, I have tungsten weights in there, and it's about 8 ounces. It's roughly half a pound of tungsten weight up here, which means this entire frame, as pictured, weighs about 10 to 11 ounces more than a standard Glock 17L frame. Why do you want your frame to weigh more? Well, a heavier frame has less felt recoil. That's simple physics. However, if you can move some of that weight up front, in this case, really up to the front, a lot of that weight is right here. About a third of this whole thing's weight is located right here. Because of that, you will have reduced muzzle flip when you shoot, and be able to get back on target faster. This is old school tech, adding things like tungsten guide rods and stuff like that. This is old school technology that a lot of people are replacing with compensators. However, I wanted to do it for this because, one, I love the look of it, and two, it works. Moving along with the other design elements, you'll notice this Constitutional Arms debossed logo in the frame that's on both sides. This is taken straight from the game assets, as well as this extended rib on the bottom with two little marks here. This is actually an improvement over my earlier big Chungus frame, where some users reported right around here ended up being a weak spot, and they were breaking frames, usually when they were like taking supports off or assembling it. This is a much beefier design now, and frankly is a very, very solid one. Moving towards the grip, there's a little bit of a beaver tail. I can't not do a beaver tail on most of my guns, but there's just a little bit of a beaver tail, about a quarter of an inch, just enough to really let my big fat hands kind of get back there with no risk of slide bite. I've added a couple of gripping textures front and rear, which were again taken straight from the game. And then comes the grip panels, if you will. Obviously, they are not separate panels. They are built into the frame of the gun, and they print as part of the gun. But they have a checkered design, as well as these two dots, which I'm assuming are supposed to line up as like buttons or something like that. I don't know, but they're there featured on this gun. It fits the hand very well, and this actually does give you a good bit of texture. This frame that we're looking at was supposed to be printed in Duramic PLA Plus Silver. Unfortunately, I was shipped the wrong material, and I instead printed it in Duramic PLA Plus Gray on an Ender 3 version 2 that's pretty much bone stock, just to keep this project moving ahead of schedule as it is supposed to be. Inside, you will, for my build, I'm using Riptide rails. This is an FMDA DD 17.2 based frame. So you will need to use 17.2 style rails. And I really like Riptide rails. They're awesome people over there, and they work perfectly in this particular build. Other than that, you will need a standard lower parts kit. You will need a Glock 17L slide and barrel. You can do this with either a 17 or a 34 length slide and barrel. Those use the same locking block architecture and things like that as the 17. They're all the same, but your barrel is going to come up short. I think a 17 will be about right here, and a 34 will be about right here. If you do that and decide to print this frame and build that, you are going to want to run a threaded barrel and a compensator of some sort, just to try to bring that barrel and slide length up to at least the front of the frame. So yeah, this frame is currently, as I'm ironing out some of the kinks in it and as I'm making sure that it's printable and well tested, it is currently in my development area, which is available for subscribers at booliganshootingsports.com. However, like all of my files, it will be released for free once it is complete on booligancustomgunworks.com, which is a link to take you to my Odyssey page. In the meantime, I did get this out to the range, and while I wasn't able to shoot it as much as I would like, because this is a theme with this gun, and really with these Zev sights, this rear sight, I can never torque it down enough, and after about 25 or 30 shots, it ends up walking out. So I need to Loctite that screw. I really need to set this in, but I do have a couple of quick videos that we'll show at the end. It's vertical video format. Sorry guys, I have been catering to the shorts crowd a little bit, considering the shorts are getting about 600 to 1,000 or 600,000 to 1 million views every single day. So I do give them a little bit of love there. So at the end of this, it's just a couple of quick rounds out of this, and you'll see shooting even one-handed, the muzzle flip is much lower than normal, and that really comes from the weight in the front. Get out there, get building, design cool stuff. I'm not a designer by trade. I just do this stuff. I self-taught, learned how to do it on YouTube, worked with really great base files from awesome developers like Ivan and Vin, and the VIPs of this space. They are the awesome ones. I'm just the guy making interesting looking stuff out of it. So again, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more on this build and many others.